I've been playing video games since I was 9 months old, and yet I can't seem to finish one, and my multiplayer performance is night and day depending on my energy level and mindset. So let's talk about some ADHD gamer things. First and foremost, as someone who struggles with ADHD, in multiplayer shooters, I truly cannot play support or defensive roles. When I'm in the right headspace and I can focus on them, I can heal. I know the mechanics. I am capable of doing the job. But my impatience and my impulsivity means that I would just, I get that dopamine hit, not from sitting back and supporting my team or making sure that I heal someone or pocket, the heavy or whatever, but from running out and getting a cool kill or making it feel like I'm moving the momentum forward. And I can't do that if I'm playing a defensive role. And that means that I end up just being a lone wolf trying to run around with my, like a chicken with my head cut off for kills, which works in some games, but doesn't work in others. When it comes to single-player games, the longer the game is, the less appealing it is. It's more of an investment. It's more of a fight for me to commit the time to actually play it and to not juggle other things with it. So when games, like there was a trend where games like Fallout for the longest time would brag about the hundreds and hundreds of hours of gameplay that the game provides and how long it'll take to beat the game was like a benchmark you wanted to reach towards. And that just kind of guaranteed that I wouldn't buy the game, or at least I would buy it and probably not play it or not play very much of it, because hundreds and hundreds of hours in a game that I struggle to commit a long sit down time with is not, why would I want that? I want quick, easy, linear games that I can beat. I can, swallow in one sitting if I need to, not a game that is going to eat my life for a very long time or make me feel like I have to commit to it for a very long time versus all the other games I want to be playing. Speaking of that, unless I'm playing with friends or I have a specific objective I'm accomplishing for the evening, if I have a video game session where I'm sitting down and I just want to, casually listen to some music and play some games, click some heads or whatever, I'm probably playing 4, 6, maybe 8 different games in just a matter of like a 3-hour gaming session where I load up one shooter, swap to another, maybe play, a game like Hades as a palate cleanser, and then go back to a couple more because it keeps the gameplay experience interesting, especially if I don't have challenges I'm working on or the matches get boring or SBMM, kicks in too strong. I'll just keep swapping games to keep, the rush of dopamine going and to keep having fun versus sitting from playing one game for hours and hours until I just get tilted and quit. As I mentioned at the start, I struggle with ADHD a lot. It has affected nearly every aspect of my life, including video games, in ways that I didn't realize was an ADHD thing before. I thought that was just normal and was confused why some of my friends didn't seem to struggle with it, as they just sit down and game forever or not have any of these issues. And it turns out a lot of the things I struggle with are specific or, indicators of ADHD. I've only been diagnosed for officially 2 months now, but it's something that I've been able to track going all the way back to my childhood. And I want to share these things and these experiences that I have because this kind of relatability and validation of the way that your relationship with gaming or whatever is what led me down the track to actually seeking treatment and making my situation better for myself. And I want to share that with others. So we have 3 more I want to talk about. This was going to be a 5-list video, but I'm throwing in a bonus 6th. Number 4 is I get tilted fairly easily. Now, I'm getting better and better about this, especially if I'm not trying to be super competitive. But if I'm playing a competitive game, I don't necessarily get tilted just by losing. There are the people who like rage and rage and rage if they just can't win or if they lose or whatever. And, I've worked really hard ever since high school when I was an actual like semi-professional competitor. That's not the right word. But, I competed semi-professionally in Halo 3 and Halo Reach. Ever since those days, I've really worked on myself to not take it that seriously and to just have a fun, casual experience. But there are things that can tilt my experience, such as, logging into matches in certain games like Modern Warfare 2 or something, where what I consider to be, undesirable or awful mechanics just not, just destroying the game. Like if I jump into a Modern Warfare 2 server in IW4X and there's just an AC-130 blowing me up the entire time and I can't move, the things where I feel like I have no control over my experience, I get tilted super easily. If my shots feel like they're not hitting due to like massive network spikes and I just can't get it to stabilize, I get tilted pretty easily. If people start just like, This used to be a problem with Master Chief Collection a lot. If I'm playing a game, you know, if I'm just trying to play casual social play and I keep getting put in like 2v4s against a 4-stack on midship that just want to like run train the whole time, I'll get tilted super easily because I'm just here for a casual fun experience, and things out of my control are sitting out to ruin my experience. And those are the kinds of things that, unless I take a break or swap games like I mentioned before for a palate cleanser, can really, it will just sour the entire rest of my gaming session until I take a break. And it is very difficult for me to recover once I get sent down that spiral. An issue I struggle with longer story-based games is that if I have stopped playing them for a while, I come back and I have no clue what's going on. I can't remember a lot of it. I don't know half the mechanics. I don't have the skill curve that I built up to play. And I've run into this with so many games where I played, you know, fairly consistently for a little while, and then life got in the way and I needed to come back, and I might as well start over because I have no clue where I'm at or what I'm doing or how I'm supposed to beat the next puzzle or the next boss, and I don't have the room to build that back up. But I also don't want to start over because my game time is precious. I finish so few games, I don't want to replay the same content, and I am going to remember some of that stuff, and I end up just not finishing the game. I've run into this with Neo, where I played it consistently for like 3 months, and then I dropped it for a bit, and now every time I go back, it's really hard, and I don't really know what's going on, and I don't want to have to start it over. But I picked up Neo 2, and I don't necessarily want to play that until I beat the first one, and now I'm stuck in this loop. I did it with the God of War reboot. I played it consistently for a few weeks, stopped, and now I have no clue how to beat the puzzle I'm on, and the combat mechanics feel more difficult, and I just am turned off of it and don't want to continue it anymore. And it's really frustrating because I want to play and enjoy those games, but when there aren't mechanics in place, some games do this, some don't, but when there aren't mechanics in place that allow me to kind of get a refresher or a catch up or a last time on this game kind of experience, I just kind of lose all sense of what's going on. I also struggle with multiplayer games in the same regard too, in terms of when there's constant balance changes or when there's drastic balance changes that happen frequently to the point that every time I log in, the existing like class or loadout or whatever I ran with is no longer viable at all. Why would I want to keep playing if every time I log in I have to change everything that I do instead of just logging in and playing? It's something I really struggled with Warframe as well, as they are constantly changing the game so much, and the game is already such a heavy wiki dive game that I love it. I put a few hundred hours into it, but every time I log in, everything feels different and weird, and it's hard to get back into it when it's set up that way. Lastly, as the bonus one, because I don't want to get too ranty about it, I really struggle with FOMO when it comes, which is fear of missing out, when it comes to live service games. Games like Anthem, The Division, Destiny, what the implication of Halo Infinite was, which it turned out not to be. I really struggle with these games because they are huge investments, and I feel like I don't have the attention span or the, you know, the room in my life whenever a specific game comes out to know life it with my friends, to keep up with them, to know what's going on and be able to experience the game in its glory. But every time I come back to these kinds of games later, they've either died, completely shut down, or the population has dwindled, or it's really difficult to join in as a new player and actually, you know, continue playing those games. I played the heck, I mean, not a ton. My game hours are limited compared to a lot of people, but I played the absolute heck out of the Division beta. And I really wanted to enjoy the Division and the Division 2. And every time I went to go back to it, no one I knew played it anymore, and everything that I understood was just kind of like, well, you had to be there. And even with games like Destiny, where supposedly the new user experience is awesome, although I'm not a new user anymore, but not having a clue what's going on and half of the content being like vaulted just makes it really difficult to get in when I'm missing a lot of it. It doesn't feel right. Do you have ADHD, or are some of these struggles, you know, relatable to you? Let me know in the comments. I want to hear your thoughts and, you know, talk about those kinds of things. And if you're curious how I cope with this is one of the reasons that I stick so strongly to games that I'm familiar with and that I've played for a very long time. So if you're interested in that, check out this video on me, you know, my thoughts on having played Call of Duty 4 for 15 years now. Or if you're interested in another one, let's talk about, you know, Halo's servers on Xbox 360 shutting down, because I hold on to the games that I do enjoy because it's so hard for me to integrate new ones with all of these struggles. Hope you're having a great weekend. Thank you for watching Lost Saves. Remember, be kind, rewind.